Mounds of evidence presented to the grand jury are available to the public this morning, and it includes testimony of Officer Wilson and pictures of him in the hospital just after the confrontation. Wilson told the grand jury on September 16th what happened after he fired shots at Brown. He said this, quote, "I'm backpedaling pretty good because I know if he reaches me, he'll kill me." And he started to lean forward as he got that close, like he was going to tackle me, just go right through me. I looked down, I remember looking at my sights and firing. All I see is his head, and that's what I shot.
CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman is with us. We should add that Rikki is the wife of New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton. Good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
Let me begin with this. All the evidence that has now been released, why this indictment, or the absence of an indictment?
The absence of an indictment comes, I think, where we all began talking about this story back many months ago. And that has to do with the physical evidence, or what we call forensic evidence. The forensic evidence did not lie. We lawyers often say to the public and to closing arguments to juries, we say physical evidence doesn't lie, only people do. What the prosecutor said in his painstaking statement and thoughtful statement last night was, as he outlined the evidence, he talked about witnesses who said they were eyewitnesses, who said that Michael Brown had been shot many times in the back, many of them even saying that Officer Wilson was standing over Michael Brown, shooting him in the back. And of course, when the autopsy leaked, then they changed their testimony. What he said was, at this grand jury listening for 25 days of testimony, 60 witnesses and 70 hours, that the only thing that could really come true for these jurors in making their decision was whose evidence matched the physical evidence.
Were you surprised that the grand jury information was released so quickly and in so much detail?
I was surprised because I was here last night working on the special report and in the streaming of our new network. And when I was on streaming, the papers started coming at me. What the prosecutor made a decision to do was that he believed that he did not need a court order to go forward and go release this information. One of the things we learned from this information for the very first time, by the way, is that we can see the 4 hours of Officer Wilson's testimony. And in certain odd ways, it may have been much better if we learned about Officer Wilson's story, not his testimony, but his story early on, that perhaps it might have diffused some of the violence. Because what happened in this case is that we had only heard one side of the story. Officer Wilson's story, according to the prosecutor, matches the physical evidence much more than many of the eyewitnesses' stories. And one of the things about Officer Wilson, when he does testify, which he didn't have to do, he chose to do, is that he talks about he talks about his subjective fear. And he sounds, I read that out loud when I got home last night to hear it. I read it out loud, and he is terrified by virtue of his own words. Clearly, the grand jury chose to believe him.
This is not the end of this, though. There is a Justice Department investigation, and there could be a civil suit.
Yes, I expect there to be a civil suit by the Brown family for wrongful death.
Rikki, thanks.